Okay, friends, hopefully those technical issues are overcome. So let's go ahead and start with reciting Namo Tassa and the three refuges for those who like to join. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. So friends, welcome to this evening's Dhamma discussion and meditation practice. So I hope you're all able to get the sutta that I sent out on Monday and to look at that. So this evening we want to continue our discussion on the middle path. And last week we looked at the Buddha's first sermon of turning the wheel of Dhamma. And in that sutta is about the Four Noble Truths and about the Noble Eightfold Path being the middle path. So primarily he was talking about the middle path of avoiding the extremes of indulgence in sensual pleasures or denying yourself any pleasures. So this basically, refers to the external world, because that's how most people's lives are run, by either, indulging or enjoying sensual pleasures, or the opposite of avoiding them. And these were the two kind of practices in the time of the Buddha. But this week we want to go and start exploring the more mental meaning of the middle path. Just not avoiding the extremes in those ways just mentioned, but how the mind is caught up in extremes. And so I'm going to share this screen to the sutta. Hopefully we can get it up here. Oh no, I always go through these kind of problems here. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. So this is the Kachanagota Sutta. This was a person called Kachanagota who came to the Buddha and then asked him this question about right view, because right view is the first step of the Noble Eightfold Path. And so the Buddha replies to him that this world mostly relies on the duality of existence and non-existence. So these are the two extreme views, It basically means that some people believe that the world exists as being some kind of absolute existence, or other people say it doesn't exist, it's all just in the mind. So saying that, seeing how things, thinking that things exist, like, ourself, the feeling of ourself as something permanent, or this world, earth is something permanent. They believe in that existence, and they live for this existence. But it's the existence of a self, the duality between me and the world out there. So everyone lives in that existence, a belief in existence. I'm existing in this world, and there's a past and there's a future, and so on. Or this existence will go on eternally, whether it's on earth or in a heaven or in hell, or whatever kind of views may have. There's this idea of things exist in a kind of a permanent, absolute way. And then the opposite is non-existence. And this is a belief that nothing exists, it's all just in your mind. And so on. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people who believe like that, but anyway, at the time of the Buddha, there were some persons like that. So anyway, these are the mental viewpoints. But then he goes on to say, one who sees the origin of the world, the origin of the world, with right understanding, then they won't believe in non-existence, because we see how the world is there. So how can you say it doesn't exist? So on one level, it exists. But he goes on to say, for one who sees the cessation of the world with right understanding, the concept of existence regarding the world does not occur, or permanent existence. So for one who truly sees a cessation of the world, this would be somebody who's at least attained Sotapanna, or the four levels of wisdom, or the one who's attained the arahantship. And again, you have to understand the Buddha's meaning of the world is, how our mind creates the world. And in those states of when you experience the nibbana, or even in some of the higher jhanas, you can see how the cessation of the world comes about, but it's in the mind. Because if you come out of that meditation, oh, Earth's here again, right in front of me. Oh, there's my mother and father, or whatever. So it's how our mind creates the world. Again, the whole Buddha's teaching is not about this physical earth and whether it exists or not, but the concept of the mind and the concept of self, really. So when one has a right understanding, you've experienced that glimpse of Nibbana, then you won't say that the world is eternal. And if you see when you're seeing the world in front of you in your normal state, then you won't say it doesn't exist either. So so that's how this that mental this was mental extreme. So the Buddha took the middle path. So the paticca samuppada basically is the middle path. That means dependent on ignorance arise volitional formations. Dependent on volitional formations arises consciousness. And then I'm not going to go through all the steps of the paticca samuppada. They weren't included in this Well, maybe I will go over it. So it's because it's not here. I thought it was here. So because of ignorance, and that means ignorance means not understanding the nature of the mind, how it works, and also ignorance that the self is an illusion. That's the deepest level of ignorance. And getting caught up in the karma of craving, grasping, and becoming. You can read, yeah. So the existence of the world is caused by getting involved, grasping, and clinging to the things of the world. But when you, all exists as one extreme, all does not exist, this is the second extreme. Avoiding these two extremes, the Buddha teaches by the middle way. Ignorance, depending, here he mentions it, ignorance, because of ignorance, choice, they're changing the word, usually it's the way you usually read it in most texts is, depending on ignorance arises volitional formations. So those means the choices that we make. Depending on volitional formations arises consciousness. Depending on consciousness arises the mind and body. Dependent on the mind and body arises the six senses. Because of the six senses, we have contact and feeling, craving, grasping, becoming, and birth. And because of birth, then there's old age, suffering, and death. But when this, so that's the arising of the world. When you're caught up in that forward momentum of the paticca samuppada, then for you the world exists. But when ignorance fades away, with the fading away of ignorance, the volitional formations cease. When the volitional formations cease, consciousness ceases. That means the rebirth consciousness, it no longer is reborn again, or the ego consciousness ceases. And when the ego consciousness ceases, then the mind and body, that means clinging to the mind and body, the six senses, and then getting caught up into the entire mass of suffering, means craving, grasping, and becoming. So anyway, we're going to speak more about, next week about some other aspects of it, but for this week, there's going to be a short discussion, but I want to see if any of you have any questions on these two extremes of the mind. I mean, everything exists or nothing exists. Now, there was a philosopher, British philosopher, one time, who had a professor friend, and this philosopher said that nothing exists, nothing is real. And he used to keep on expounding that and telling his science friend that nothing is real, nothing is real. So they were walking one day by a river, along a river bank where there was lots of stones, just enjoying the river and the nature. And this man kept on saying, nothing is real, nothing is real. So this professor got tired of hearing him saying this. And he picked up a big stone and threw it down on the philosopher's foot. And the philosopher grabbed his foot, and I think that it caused some blood to come out of his shoes. It smashed his toes, and he was jumping up and down and shouting and so on. And the professor said, why are you shouting? Why are you jumping up and down? Why are you grabbing your foot? If nothing is real. So, for this philosopher, his idea of non-existence was just an empty, sound thought in his mind. He didn't really have that, because if he was really in that state of non-existence, or an arahant, then he wouldn't have reacted like that. Anyway, so now if anybody has any questions about this, I'm going to stop the sharing and come back to see if doesn't look like there's anything in the chat box yet. But I want to see if anybody out there has any questions as to, basically, it could be a question about the paticca samuppada, but basically this duality of the two extremes of everything exists or nothing exists. But the Buddha took the middle path and stated, how do things exist? Now, things appear to be real, right? We open our eyes and we see all these things. We smell things, see things, feel pain. But how do they exist in our mind? How is our mind creating this scenario of myself enjoying this pleasure, myself having fear of this pain? That is what is created in the mind, and that's what creates sort of our existence. And so that's what the Buddha is. How does the world exist? And how does it not exist? It's not that it is or it isn't, one extreme or the other, one thing or the other. It's how do they exist? Because the Buddha could be in a state and, he could be enlightened, but at the same time, for him, they relatively exist because he understands how the senses and the brain functions. But if he wants to, he can put his mind into that state of the fruition of, arahantship, and experience how they not exist. Or he's experiencing them both basically at the same time. So that's the meaning of that, the middle path is about understanding how things seem to exist, but at the same time understanding how ultimately they're illusion created in the mind, and especially the sense of the self and the I. And when you attain arahantship, or you attain these higher states of insight and get glimpses into no self, then you will also understand how the sense of self, we can make it exist, or we can cause it to cease to exist if we get into that state of meditation and wisdom. Okay, it seems that somebody might have asked a chat here. Okay. There is a difference between ultimate reality, nirvana, and historical reality, the senses and the objects. Well, this idea of ultimate reality, again, thinking nirvana is some kind of a place or something, that's nirvana isn't a place. It's the state of the mind that's free from greed, hatred, and delusion. And especially the ego being the deepest form of delusion, the sense of you exist as an individual person. Now that's created in your mind, and you keep on recreating it every moment of sensory contact, because when you go to sleep, the sense of self ceases for that period of time that you're sleeping. So if it existed as real or eternal, it should exist even in sleep, because that's the definition of something being eternal. It's always present. But when you go to sleep, it ceases to exist. So that's one way of kind of understanding that. And it's only when the senses are contacted, because when you come out of sleep, right, your alarm clock wakes off. Maybe you're in a deep state of sleep. Maybe you're in a dream, but at that time you didn't really know that you were dreaming. But all of a sudden you wake up, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I was dreaming. So, so there's the insight, the stages of wisdom and the experience of Nibbana for an Arahant when they're still living is that they're both in the relative reality, but they're not caught by the relative reality. They're not suffering by the relative reality because their mind is non-reactive to it. And it doesn't create karma in terms of reacting to, our relative life. And it will, anytime they wanted to, they could go into a state and withdraw their senses from, their mind inward and experience this state of, non-duality, or where that kind of existence temporarily dissolves. Now, you might be talking about the idea of when an arhat dies, some kind of ultimate reality. Well, the Buddha didn't go on to describe that. He talked about, the experience in Nibbana, cessation of greed, hatred, and delusion. He never said that's a place you go to, because the self dissolves. And so it really has no meaning whether the world exists after you die or not. What is the meaning? You're not going to be here to know it. So it doesn't matter. These are philosophical questions, of course. But the Buddha wasn't a philosopher trying to make out some philosophical thesis that whether the world exists or not. He was interested in about suffering. How does suffering arise? And this is how he explained how suffering it arises, by clinging to the idea that you are somebody real, and the external world that the mind is creating in your mind is somehow real. And because of that ignorance, we create the karma that then we have to experience the results of that, in our mind. It's all really in the mind. Okay. Okay, there's a couple of other chats, it seems. Sounds like the famous scientific experiment with the cat in the box, where the probability of the cat being alive or dead in the box is dependent on when one looks in the box. This is also the basis of quantum physics. Everything is a probability. Does Buddhism support this theory too? Well, it depends on what you mean by does Buddhism. Buddhism isn't one monolithic thing. But because if you ask, Zen Buddhist or a Theravada Buddhist or a Tibetan Buddhist, they might give different ideas. But probably I would say yes, that quantum physics is describing the nature of reality much more than somebody who believes in existence, permanent kind of existence. Because everything is relative. That's true. Depending on your state of wisdom, everything is relative. Is the transition between dreams when you sleep a good analog to how to think about the self? The dreams all happen, but they are illusory and disappear after we move to the next one. Yes, but dreams are not coming from outer space. They're being produced within the unconscious mind. And they're one of the mysterious things that, are difficult to explain. Now, there's lots of, dream therapists and, who learn to interpret dreams and have their own viewpoints about them. But, the dreams can appear real, but at that moment in the dream, yeah, you might have a fear and worry, or imagine you're getting chased by monsters, or you're having some other, erotic kind of dream and so on. But these are being created within the unconscious mind, and we're not conscious to they're an object in our mind, but when we're asleep, we, as soon as you wake up from the dream, it basically disappears because the ego wasn't actively watching them. But these are, difficult things to describe, with our limited experience. But the fact is that when we sleep, the sense of self disappears, or even when you get into a deep state of meditation, the sense of self can get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And that all depends on the amount of attention that we're giving to any object. So the self is created because of the senses are contacted, and the mind is then going into the memory and remembering the past and future based on these. I'm going to talk about this more about next week. Okay, let's look at this last. Impermanence negates permanent existence, and the senses and objects negate non-existence. Yeah, basically that's what the Buddha was saying in the sutta that we were looking at tonight. When one understands how the world arises, then you don't say it, doesn't exist. But when you see how it ceases, then you don't say it exists either. So when you see how things just arise and vanish in a deep state of insight meditation, then the objects and the sense of self seems to disappear. So that's when you understand how the impermanence leads to that experience of emptiness. And then when the senses, you're clinging to the senses and their objects, and yourself as being the experiencer, and the objects that you're taking to be real, then that negates the non-existence. Okay, friends, does anybody have any other questions that you want to raise their hand about? So these are things that really, you're only going to really understand as you, keep meditating, and especially developing that kind of insight meditation, and practicing the 4 foundations of mindfulness. That is really the direct method for gaining these insights into anicca, dukkha, and anatta. That's the whole purpose of those are the 3 main insights, gaining insight into anicca, dukkha, and anatta. When you understand those, then you go beyond existence and non-existence. But until we start to get, develop enough mindfulness and concentration so the mind eventually gets these direct experiences, then that's why only the state of a sotapanna, entering the stream, is when the doubts about this are finally removed. It's through that direct seeing that the doubts about it are removed. So that's why we always like to do meditation directly after having these discussions, so it just doesn't remain, in the head as a lot of words, but try to direct the mind towards, at some point, getting those deep experiences. Okay? So let's take a short break, come back, do some stretches, and then have our meditation. So I'll be back in a few minutes. AI thing. Sorry, people, about this AI thing that keeps moving the video away from my head. I don't know how to stop it. Anyway, just try to stand straight, relax your arms at the sides. Begin some deep, slow breathing. Hold the air in the lungs for 2 seconds, developing this mindfulness, breathing in, letting go of the past and future, breathing out, standing here and now, breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Okay, now we're going to combine this breathing with these movements. Try to follow it the best you can if you can't see my top part of my body. So on the next in-breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, straighten the arms, turn the palms upwards, stretch up, stretch the head back. In the out breath, release the fingers, arms back to the sides. Feel the air go out as the arms come back down. Again, in breath. Stretch up. Out breath. Once more. Stretch up, bend back. Out breath. Just relax, close the eyes. Just feel the body. Okay, next, on the next in-breath, lift up on the balls of the feet, raising the arms over the head, facing the hands toward each other about 6 inches apart. Stretch up. Out breath, come back down. Feel the air go out as the arms come back down to the sides. Again, in-breath, lift up. Stretch. Out. Once more. In. Out. Let's close the eyes, feel the increased sensations. Remember standing, present moment of the body, letting go of your thoughts. And next we'll do the side bending using both arms on the in-breath. Raise both arms up. Keep your fingers and arms straight, close to your head. On the out-breath, bend over the right side. Keep the arms parallel to each other. Feel the stretch in the side. In-breath, lift up. And the other side, out-breath. In, out. Keep alternating sides of the breathing. In-breath, lift up. Out-breath to the left. In, right. Once more to each side, out-breath. On the out-breath, lower both arms. Feel the air go out. Close the eyes. Just keep feeling the body. Feel the clothing touching the outer skin. Subtler life force sensations under the skin. Maybe the increased heartbeat. Blood pulsing. Itchy, prickly sensation. Just remember standing. And next we'll do the knee bending or the squatting. On the next in-breath, lift up on the toes again, but raise the arms up front for balance. On the out-breath, bend the knees and lower the body down, balancing on the balls of the feet. Come down into the squatting position. And take a deep breath, feel the muscles in the legs pushing the body up on the toes. Again, out breath, lower down. In. Out. In. On the out breath, lower the arms, relax. Feel the increased heart beating, other sensations. Start to feel the outline of the body in the mind's eye. Remember standing, standing, standing. Okay, now spread the legs apart about 3 feet. Wider the better. We'll do the twisting from right to left, holding the arms out at the sides. So breathe in. On the out breath, twist to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. The in breath, come back to the front. And let the feet turn with the body as you twist to the other side. Out breath. In breath, front. And again to the right, out breath. In. Out. In. Once more to each side. In breath. Out. Come back to the front. Out breath, lower the arms. Feel each foot pressing the floor. Feel the hands, arms and hands hanging at the sides. Feel your fingers, subtle tingling sensations. Feel the clothing touching the skin. Feel the head balanced on top, the eyes in the sockets. This body exactly as it is, here and now. Present moment, body-centered awareness. Next we'll do alternate toe touching. Again, hold the arms out at the sides. Breathe in. On the out breath, bring your left arm across and down to touch your right leg below the knee, as far down as you can reach with your hand towards the foot. And then turn your head to look up with your other hand over the head. And keep the legs straight. Carefully come up on the in breath. And then do the other side. The next out breath, right hand to the left leg or foot. Look up with the other hand over the head. In breath, lift up. Just keep alternating sides like that 2 more times to each side. Try to stretch further, a little further each time. In breath. Out. in. Once more to each side. Come up, relax, feel all the sensations, heart beating, pulsations, aches or pains, clothing touching the skin. So you hold the outline of the body in the mind's eye. Present moment, body-centered awareness, natural awareness. Okay, now bring your legs back together. You're standing straight with the head turning from right to left. On the in-breath, turn your head to the right. If you have a stiff neck, just be careful. Look over your right shoulder. On the out-breath, turn the head all the way back to the left. To look over the left shoulder. In-breath back to the right. Concentrate into the neck vertebra. Out-breath left. Once more to each side. On the in-breath, let the head stop in the middle. Keep the eyes closed, keep feeling the body. Now we're going to do one last exercise, the backward and forward bending. Just be careful with the back bends, if you have a stiff back. So turn the palms facing outwards so your little fingers touch together. And on in-breath, raise the hands up level to your eyes. Then spread the arms out to the sides as you bend back on the out-breath. Look up at the ceiling. Feel the arch in the spine. Carefully lift up on an in-breath. Keep the arms out at the sides, and on the out-breath, lower the, bend forward and down. The hands come down towards the floor. Let the little bones in the lower spine stretch out. You keep the legs straight. And begin lifting up. Turn the palms outward, begin the in-breath, the hands up, out-breath, the arms out to the sides, bend back. Carefully lift up on the in-breath, and the out-breath, the downward stretch. Try to keep your legs straight, and come down a little more. Little bones in the lower spine stretch out. And once more, in breath, out breath, bend back. In, the out breath, try to hold the downward stretch longer. Let the little bones in the lower spine stretch out. Feel all the sensations. Okay, begin lifting up. As you breathe in, bring the hands together at the chest. The out breath, hands to the sides. Feel the whole body vibrating, pulsating with activated life force. Being all the cells of the body having been charged up with oxygenated blood. Try to feel that. Try to imagine or feel that as a healing energy permeating, saturating all the cells and tissues of the body, nervous system, allowing the mind to rest in the middle, the present moment. The mind resting in the present moment is the real middle path. Okay, so now come back, get ready for the sitting. Let's get comfortable in the sitting posture. Just align your head and spine in a straight line. Feel your head balanced on top. And keep your chin lifted up level with the floor. Just relax your face muscles. Try to mentally feel the outline of the sitting body in the mind's eye. Then begin taking some deep, slow breaths. Hold the breath in for 2 or 3 seconds before breathing out, like we were doing in the yoga session. Just take a few more deep, slow breaths like that. Developing this mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Hold the breath. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to try counting our breaths from 1 to 10. Develop a more continuous concentration on the breathing. I'll do the counting for you. Just try to follow that with your breathing and concentration. So on the next expanding in-breath, mentally count to 1. Hold the breath a second. With the contracting out breath, also count to 1. Feel the last bit of air go out. The next in-breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In, 3. Out, 3. In, 4. out 4, in 5, out 5, in 6, out 6, in 7, out 7, in 8, out 8, in 9, out 9, in 10, out 10. Now as the breath goes out, don't control the next in-breath. Let the in-breath come back in under its own power. No longer try to control the breath. Let the breathing come back to its shorter, uncontrolled rhythm. But continue to feel it. Keep your attention focused in the center of the body. Feel the expanding and contracting of the breathing in the middle of that body outline. Especially try to notice where the clothing rubs against the skin of the stomach, rib cage, or chest. Feeling those subtle sensations of expanding and contracting. Just try to be like a scientist looking down through a microscope, observing an experiment. This experiment in the breathing body. Just tuning into the 4 phases of each breath cycle. Expanding in breath and the brief pause. Contracting out breath and the brief pause. Just over and over and over again. To help stay focused, you can use these mental reminders. In, sitting, out, out, sitting, the ongoing, continuous, present moment, this breathing body, in, sitting, out, out, sitting. During those pauses between the breaths, you feel the outline of the sitting body. Start to feel that breathing process occurring within this larger sitting body. Try to observe how each breath is different. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes the pauses between the breaths are longer or shorter. It's always changing. Observe the breaths in that way helps you to stay concentrated. Letting go of your thoughts. In, sitting, out, out, sitting. If you still have lots of thoughts, you can combine this, you can count the breaths by yourself to see if you can make it to 10 without the mind getting lost. If you could make it to 10 without the mind getting lost, just let go of the counting, come back to the more pure observation of the breathing. Just come back to the noting of in, sitting, out, out, sitting. Breath by breath, moment by moment. Just turning up the power of the mental microscope to notice more and subtler sensations coming and going in the breathing body. Being alert for thoughts trying to sneak into the mind to steal your attention away. Especially try to notice on the out breath, that last bit of air go out of the lungs, that brief pause for the next in breath. If you catch yourself lost in thoughts, recognize it as lost. Take a deep, slow breath. Bring the mind back into the body. Take several more deep, slow breaths. Stay awake and centered in the breathing body. Checking the posture to keep the chin lifted up. Straighten the spine. Find yourself slouching. In, sitting. Out, out, sitting. Be aware of that idea of existence in your mind, especially if you're wrestling with some thoughts or fears or worries. Just the idea that you're sitting and breathing. So creating existence. Sense of I, or self. Especially be alert to see how different sensations just come and go, arise and vanish very quickly. Whether it's the breathing, whether it's the itchy sensations, body movements, sound. Now your thoughts change very quickly. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. So many different sensations come and go. Perceptions, thoughts come and go. Sounds come and go. Thoughts of I, me, or mine come and go. These are all just a continuous flow of impermanence. The body-mind phenomenon, the five aggregates, in their nature of continuous, constant change. Without grasping them or rejecting them. Keeping the mind in the middle, in the present moment. Clearly seeing how everything just comes and goes, moment by moment. Who is the one who's watching this? From time to time, take a few deep, slow breaths. Re-energize the awareness. Help stay awake, alert. Breath by breath. moment by moment. Feeling more sensation, even thoughts coming and going very quickly. Dukkha pata jani dukkha bhayapata jani bhaya sokapata jani sokha hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. In this way, may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. Thus spoke the Buddha. Now place your hands at the edge of the knees. Take another deep, slow breath. As you breathe in, stretch your head back. Pull the hands against the knees to arch your spine back. Look up at the ceiling. Let out the breath. And breathe in, lift the head up, and on an out breath, press the chin to the top of the chest. Stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends. So I hope that you were able to have some good moments of some good concentration, mindfulness, awareness, some insights into the nature of our mind, how our mind, through memory, identification creates the idea of ourself, creates our existence. So, keep up your meditation during the week, especially try to practice the M&Ms, minutes of mindfulness during the day, to stop once an hour, to bring the mind back to the middle path, the present moment, centered in the body. So be well, be safe, be mindful, be wise. And hope to see you next week. So next week we're going to finish our discussion of the middle path, covering more about the idea of the middle path between the opposites, past, future, pleasure, pain, self and others. Okay, so
Bhante.
Everyone Sarnai Bhante.
Everyone Sarnai Bhante.
everyone Saranai.
Everyone Sarnai.
Everyone Sarnai.
For those who don't know the meaning of Terawan Saranai, it means, may the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha bless you. Do your practice. Although you're blessing yourself through your practice of the Dhamma. Okay?
Thank you.